Rocky Horror Minute is rated R. The Rocky Horror Picture Show is also rated R. We're going to spend this time discussing the movie in gory detail, and along the road we will talk about some adult content and use some of our favorite swear words.
Areola, stick 'em out. Don't know what I'm talking about. That go around the skittle.
Consider yourselves warned. Welcome to Rocky Horror Minute, the podcast where we break down the Rocky Horror Picture Show in excruciating detail, 1 minute at a time. I'm one of your hosts, Leandra.
And I'm your other host, Kelly.
And today we're talking about minute 62. What happens in that minute?
I'm so glad you asked. So Frank continues striding over to the transducer board and he flips around. He looks super haughty, and using his right hand, he pulls the lever for what is labeled as the triple contact electromagnet. He pulls it right, and then there's like a diagonal thing, and then right one more time. There's only one direction, well, I guess two directions it can go, but there's only one path. It's like one of those baby toys. So, with each pull, he like throws his head back and like up towards the ceiling. And the magnets, there's 3 like large U-shaped magnets under it, and they pop out one after another with each pull. And with the very last pull, he lifts his right leg and braces it against the wall so that it's bent at the knee. Dr. Scott says, "Ach," and straps in as we hear sitar music start to play. He starts at the bottom landing of one of the staircases, and then he goes up the stairs as though it were a ramp. And then there's another staircase, and he goes all the way around a rectangular landing and goes into Columbia's room that we saw earlier. Columbia and Magenta are now reclining on a chaise lounge in what I called a deconstructed 69 position. So Columbia's on her belly reading a magazine titled Movie Life. Magenta is on her back with her feet up, smoking. They both look up. Magenta looks a little confused, but barely interested. Columbia looks a little bit alarmed, and they watch Scott go around them in a circle. Then he goes up an almost unbelievably dusty staircase. I've never seen these levels of dust on anything. It's like opaque in the sections between the banisters. And then he loudly crashes through the pink tile of the lab, and there's a ton of dust on everything and on him. So now he is up on the catwalk, and there's a big hole in the wall. Brad yells, "Great Scott!" And then Scott is more slowly pulled down, presumably still by the magnet. There's like an airplane noise as he's doing it, like a... And then he goes past a stunned-looking Brad and loudly skids to a halt and kind of crashes into the transducer board. He doesn't really hit it with that much force, but there is the same crashing, like china breaking sound effect that we heard at least once earlier. So
it sounds like he might have hit a pot on the way, too.
Yeah. So Frank is there, of course, still. He looks down imperiously and puts his right foot up on Scott's lap. And then Scott slaps the armrests and says, "Frankenfurter, we meet at last." Frank smirks, but then before he can say anything, Brad runs over and yells, "Dr. Scott," and he extends his hand for a handshake and like a "put her there" kind of motion. Scott replies, "Brad, what are you doing here?" Brad starts shaking his hand vigorously with both of his hands, like he just got a giant check from him or something. And then Frank kind of whaps the whip down on that handshake. And that's the end of the minute.
This is a wonderful minute, I think.
It is. It feels like one of the longest minutes of the film.
I think compared to Lab Scene, this minute is not that long.
That scene sucks and is really boring. But and there's a lot of fun stuff going on here, but it's just it takes a while to get through all of the sitar scored wheelchair racing.
I think that this is just like the most ridiculous of the minutes for things that could have easily been cut.
Like, I don't necessarily want this cut because it's fun and silly, and one of the few really interesting things that Scott gets to do. But
Right.
it is like kind of like it maybe could have been a little shorter.
So, I guess first off, I want to talk about random taxidermy on the walls.
Yeah, I noticed that too. I don't think that foxes or there's there's a I think an otter or maybe a martin as well. And I don't what's the thing with the white bow? Is it a cougar?
That might be, but I also saw a warthog and a buck's head.
I saw the buck's head, or at least some sort of horned ungulate, but that's not that remarkable. I mean, those are normally mounted on the wall, but I have never seen just the head of a fox, a cougar, or whatever that is, or a martin or otter. Like those things, if taxidermied, are usually taxidermied in full.
I I'm also just back to the the fox with the blue bow around its neck. There's no research that indicates that the fox's name wasn't Melvin,
Oh
but
yeah.
I did want to throw out there that I'm very confused because the fox head named Melvin shows up like twice on this journey through the castle. The first time it shows up on a wall, and on the next wall over there's the buck head, but the next time it's still on that same wall, but where the buck was, it's now replaced with a window. And I've looked at this like 300 times now, just like going through this like 3 to 5 second block going, what is going on here? Like, did they I don't understand the editing, or maybe they had a false wall or something. I'm just very confused. And listeners, if you watch this, just look at the fox
Well,
and you'll be so confused.
yeah, I cannot. Is this like a thing that people do, like taxidermy the heads of these animals? I've never seen it. Or is this like a goofy prop that somebody made?
I don't think that they made these props specifically for the movie. So they must have been things that they found.
Wow. That is such a strange choice.
But I really can't express that, like, even outside of this being a strange choice, I think that there's some Sue's to Mary shenanigans,
Yeah,
particularly within the geography of this jaunt
I
that Dr.
mean,
Scott goes through.
yeah, I mentioned that he goes up one staircase and then another staircase in a way that doesn't fully make a lot of sense. But also, there's a kind of minor, but I would still say a pretty clear continuity error when Frank is lifting his leg, which wouldn't be even anything anyone really noticed except for the leg lift is called out very, very prominently in callbacks, which we'll get to. But if you watch, it starts as a zoomed out shot, and he is lifting his left leg, and then it cuts to the close up, and he lifts his right. So, Sue's
Yeah,
to
this
Mary.
isn't quite the amazing unbuttoning shirt, the amazing buttoning shirt, but it's close to it. It's one of Sue Mary's worst moments, I
I,
think is a good
I
way of putting that.
I would argue her worst moment is that fucking the arm pumping at the end of lab scene.
Yeah.
So anyway, yeah. Sue's Temeria bound in this minute, though.
So, this isn't really a Seuss to Mary thing. This is a choice that was made that I don't know that I would make, sort of thing. This wire, it seems like such a bad and unsafe choice. Would you do this, Kelly?
Yeah, and Leandra is, of course, referring to the fact that Scott was being pulled on wires to move his wheelchair.
Very visible wires.
Yeah, you can see them in multiple places. You also see the carpet, like, flipping up where the wires, like, pull it up. But yeah, especially when right as he gets to the top of that one staircase, you see the wire really clearly, at least on the Blu-ray. Because of the angle. And I will say, on the commentary, Richard O'Brien and Patricia Quinn were just going crazy about how great those wires looked and how great they worked and how cool they were. They pointed out that you can see that, but they said, actually, if you think about the mechanics of that, it's pretty damn good. However.
Is it?
Yeah, I mean, I was like...
This isn't the Matrix.
I mean, like, if they want I guess in the 70s, there's only so many ways to get a wheelchair to move without it being pushed. But, yeah, I don't know. I was going to ask you, because Scott is holding on for dear life, and I was going to ask you if you think that was scripted or if that was Jonathan Adams' sincere terror as he was being yanked up staircases really fast on what seemed like fairly precarious wires that were under carpet.
I don't even necessarily know that it was done very, very quickly. I think that this was...
Oh, you think it got sped up?
I think so, for sure. And I do think that the note was probably... be shocked that you're getting pulled against your will. And I bet Jonathan Adams said that is not going to be a problem.
I don't know. I think even if it was maybe even especially if it was going slowly, I would be stressed by this, especially on the stairs.
Oh, for sure. I wouldn't do this. This would give me far too much anxiety.
I would probably do it because I'm really dumb, but I would be stressed.
You really dumb?
I know. It's more likely than you think, and you probably think it's pretty likely. So, yeah, that I thought was funny. Another note from the commentary, I don't know if we talked about this or anything yet. I don't think I knew it unless I just forgot, but when he bursts through the wall, they apparently realized that as they were making the movie, they were like, wait, there's no entrance to this lab. And so that was their solution, was to just create one through bursting wheelchair.
And they didn't want to, like, have him get up the elevator, I guess.
I mean, I understand how the elevator would have been kind of a weird thing for the momentum of that scene.
Yeah.
And then we've already talked about whether Rocky or dogs can operate an elevator, but I feel certain that a magnet cannot from afar.
Probably not.
So, but yeah, I mean, there's a lot of ways they could have solved this problem. He could have gotten, well, actually, that would have sucked and also required even more dangerous wire work. Never mind. I was going to say he could have gotten lifted up the shaft. Yeah, but yeah, exactly. Ask Oscar about lifting up shafts. But yeah, so I think it's funny that was their solution. I mean, it's a great moment. I actually think it's wonderful. But it's funny because later there's the whole, and this is really jumping ahead, I know, but the whole callback of like 1, 2, 3, 4, use the hole and fuck the door when they all run through that hole. Well, there's no door to use, is there?
Yeah, they just decided to lean in.
Yeah. Which, I mean, I thought it was a really funny solution. I think it's amusing that, like, apparently a door has never been needed in this room ever, and also they could not give less of a shit like about him bursting through and breaking a gigantic hole in their tiled wall.
I have to imagine that that was done in one take, though.
Yeah, unless I can imagine them just making some poor tech crew like retile it over and over again and like do all the masonry and then breaking it over and over.
Yeah, that's where all of their budget went, I'm sure.
I thought that was interesting though. That was apparently not planned. It was a solution that they came to.
Fantastic. I'm happy that that was the choice that they made because it is, I think, one of the things that makes this movie what it is.
For sure. And I mean, I love how little sense the mechanics of the magnet makes. Like, I like how they really leaned into it being silly in terms of, like, you know, making him go around in circles and around corners in a way that makes no sense for a magnet.
I think this is the part that's like very heavily a parody of sci-fi.
Yes.
So, more about Dr. Scott. The wheelchair, the brand is Everest and Jennings. It's a foldable style with brown padded armrests. And Scott has a plaid blanket, and it is the Anderson Modern Tartan. I'm going to talk more about the costume later, but when he's getting pulled through the castle, you see this great view of his ridiculous, oversized maroon socks and his brown loafers. It's just like very old man vibes. But before we get back into the lab, we have to talk about my favorite room in this entire castle. And of course, we're talking about the bedroom that Columbia and Magenta are lounging in what looks like a post-coital glow. It isn't, though. Probably.
It is, though, according to Patricia Quinn.
Oh. She really thinks that Columbia and Magenta had sex?
Yeah, we talked about it a couple episodes ago.
I thought that she had just said that they were, like, very much on top of each other.
Yeah, no, Richard O'Brien was going, I think they're very good friends, and Patricia Quinn was like, is that what you think?
Okay.
Yeah.
So, he said they're roommates.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah. I mean, she said there's something very, like, I think she said there's something very sexual or something. I don't know. I did the direct quote when we were talking about it. It's one of the Blake episodes.
Well, rest in peace, Blake. So, a couple of things that I wanted to call out in the bedroom, and Kelly, I know that you have some too. I love that on top of the TV there's a ceramic, I think it's ceramic elephant, and this candlestick holder with what looks like a pole dancer on it. I don't know if it's actually a pole dancer or what, but it's very, it looks like like somebody dancing on a pole. And next up, we have a framed picture of a woman on the beach. And that's not just a picture, it's actually a towel. Thanks, as per usual, to Mark Jabara for posting the info, but it's a Marsco towel number 37224, made in China, called Lady on Beach. And it is a souvenir from Virginia Beach, Virginia. And this specific thing is kind of my white whale. I look for this all the time when I am at the beach, or I have it as a thing on eBay so that if something pops up, I'm the first to know about it. The original belonged to Brian Thompson, and he had it framed on his wall for many years.
That is a crazy thing for someone to frame on their wall, isn't it?
It is, and yet if I had it, I would do the same thing.
Well, Yes, you would because of its significance in the movie, but if you, first of all, Brian Thompson, I'm guessing based out of California, known for its beaches. He went to Virginia Beach, already crazy to me as somebody from this area. It's okay, but it's got nothing on West Coast beaches, right? Um, he went to Virginia Beach, he got a towel there, and then he framed it? You know? That's strange, right?
It's definitely not a choice that I would make. I mean, outside
Yeah, I
of.
agree. I mean, it's wonderful now. And the other thing is, like, now it's a wonderful vintage piece. It wasn't at the time. Like, it's the equivalent of me going to Ocean City, Maryland and getting one of the, like, meme towels that says, like, keep calm and do another shot, and then, like, taking that home and getting it framed on my wall.
Now, I will say that you said that Brian Thompson was from LA. He's
No,
actually,
I said, I guessed that he
no,
was probably based out of
Brian
LA.
Thompson is the scenic designer, and he is from Australia. He was specifically known for Australian opera and theater, and then went into like film scenic design, kind of as an afterthought to that. So
So what you're saying is even more strange
yes,
because Australia has way better beaches. On the other hand, at least it was like an exotic thing for him, I guess. But
yeah,
I don't know.
maybe it was a
Like I
really
said,
nice trip for him.
that's just not what I would ever do with a towel, even a really cool towel.
Well, maybe he just had a very oddly shaped frame and he was like, I just don't know what I'm going to put it. Wait, yes, I do. I have a towel of a lady on the beach.
It's just so, it's weird, but I love how weird it is. It's like kitschy and fun, but I I would love to understand that what went into that. But it's a super cool detail from the scene that I always notice, so I do love it for that.
Yeah, and Brian Thompson really went above and beyond in a lot of scenes, but I think this is my favorite of the blink and you'll miss it sorts of moments, which is, I think, why this is one of my favorite minutes. Um,
This it's a beautiful moment of characterization for Columbia, not only for the details, but like this is such a believably messy room. It's exactly the level of messy I'd expect Columbia's room to be.
for sure.
It literally has a laundry chair in view. I mean, that is great
It
detail.
really is. So, a fun other thing that's on the wall, somewhat close to the towel, is Jim Sharman took the original London cast out to see Beyond the Valley of the Dolls, which was a semi still current at the time cult classic film. The soundtrack vinyl is also on the wall.
That's really cool. I also saw what I assume is the soundtrack to A Star is Born,
You love this.
a movie. It's a movie I like to call A Star is Boring. Am I right? Not a fan of that movie. Although, actually, I have not seen the original, which this is obviously the original. A lot of people in my life loved. Well, actually, no. This was probably not even the original, but the remake that happened. Because there's two remakes, right?
I'm gonna be honest with you. I've seen zero of these.
Okay, this is gold. But yeah, no, okay, yeah. So I think there was like a really old one, and then there was a newer, like, remake that I accidentally called the original with, I think, Barbara, I want to say. I have not seen that one. The one that I saw had Lady Gaga in it, and she is a great singer and everything, but the movie is just, it's just one of those movies that's just boring and just, like, sad for the sake of being sad, but doesn't accomplish anything with it, you know? But a lot of people I knew loved it, and they're like, what are you talking about? It's such a great tearjerker. And I'm like, I mean, well, first of all, I cry really easy, and I did not cry during this movie because I didn't care about the characters. I don't know.
So back to the Columbia bedroom. This next bit of info comes from Minna from Columbia's Closet. Columbia is reading a magazine, and I know that you referred to that already. It's the April 1961 issue of Movie Life. Magenta is reading another magazine from April 1961. It's Movie Mirror. Both seem to have major articles about Bobby Darin, so I guess in universe, one or both of Columbia and Magenta are huge Bobby Darin fans.
Oh my god, I love that. Like they have a little like fan club meeting.
I would hope so. And listeners, I'm right in the middle of moving right now, so I don't know exactly where it is, but I bought copies of the magazine covers from Minna, and I would love to talk about the ads on the back. If someone emails us at rockyhorrorminute@gmail.com and reminds me, I will talk about them on a Crim Minute, but otherwise I'm going to forget.
I love your candor.
Yeah.
But yeah, I wanted to ask you if you know what that like clearly cursed like human effigy is on that shelf back there.
I thought that was like a marionette with its head facing away from us. I thought that that's what it was. It is cursed.
Okay. Maybe it is. I'll take another look at it. I remember I actually wrote like odd kind of humanoid shape, but so maybe if its head was facing away, I just didn't see it correctly.
It was definitely awful.
Yeah. I just wanted to know if you had any info on it.
Nope. The only other thing that I wanted to throw out there is just barely in the shot and on the far left, there's another canopied lamp, much like the one that we see in Brad/Janet's bedroom. So they're definitely establishing that this is still in the castle.
I wanted to know if you think it's normal to put your chaise lounge in the center of a room.
Where would you put it?
Against one of the walls.
But where would you put it if you intended to have sex on that and have people watch you?
Maybe I just don't. I mean, it's strange placement, strange use of space for me, but it's, I just wanted to know if you agreed or if you thought that was normal.
It's definitely not normal. I think that's an insane choice. I was just fucking with you.
Okay. Good to know.
Those were the notes that I specifically had about that very amazing bedroom. What did I miss?
I mean, I don't know if I would say you missed these things, but I did want to call attention to the teddy bear in what seems to be like an ill-fitting smock.
Oh yeah, it's like a big suit for a small teddy bear.
Yeah, love that. Would love to know the story behind it. I don't know if like she just put like I'm guessing it's just like a child's shirt put on a bear, which is fun and cute. I don't know if like there could be some connection to Eddie because, we obviously associate him with teddies, although he doesn't like them, so who knows. But also the only other thing I loved is we see her costumes from earlier hanging up, but also some other clothes. So theoretically we're getting like a view of how Columbia dresses like outside of the movie.
Well, I also noticed that next to the Time Warp bustier and the shorts are what look like Magenta's thigh highs and garters. So it's not just Columbia's stuff up there.
I guess that could be true.
I mean, she's not wearing them anymore.
Yeah, I guess she's not. Yeah, that's probably the case. It definitely looks more like something Columbia would wear, though. There's like a patterned dress.
Oh, that is for sure Columbia's, I think. So, were you surprised that Magenta was smoking?
No, and I think that is yet another clue at what may have taken place here.
Oh, yeah, I just now put that together.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm smart. You have to understand, I'm actually really smart.
Yeah, I thought they were laying that one on pretty thick, but again, apparently Richard O'Brien doesn't see the connection, so.
So I only have a couple other things that I wanted to throw out there. I like the fact that Eddie breaks through ice and then Scott breaks through a wall. It's very
Oh,
familial.
that's amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just a cute little thing that I don't know if they did that on purpose, but it has nice balance.
Yeah.
And then the only other thing that I specifically wanted to call attention to is the glass of the front of the tank that has been stained with the food coloring. It throws off a rainbow shadow on the wall behind the tank, and we see that in this minute, which I think is very cute.
It is very cute. Another thing I think is really cute,
Me?
the stock sound effects.
Oh,
But yes, actually. Both of those things are cute. But yeah, the stock sound effects just so fun and stupid, and I really think they leaned into it. That crashing sound effect. Funny story. At Rocky, I guess just last night, I sat my big fat ass down on the disposable like plastic like glass that we had set out for Riff to hand to Frank, and it shattered with an almost identical glass shattering sound effect. And this was during it was really early in the movie. It was during like Damn It Janet or something like that. And
amazing.
all I could do was yell, "Women drivers, no survivors."
That's where that came from. I had no idea the context to that. So I was just like, what is Kelly bitching about?
It's because I shattered glass with my ass, and it made the same sound effect as that callback.
That's very on brand for Kelly.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So anyway, I love that sound effect, and also the strange use of the like airplane noise and the like screeching brakes. I also was gonna ask you. So now Brad is really surprised. He wasn't earlier when he saw Scott was there. He was just like, "Hey, Scotty," but now he's like, "What?" And I'm, what?
Yeah, I'm wondering if Brad Majors was in a refresher course because it takes him a while to learn things. He's not necessarily stupid. It takes a while for things to sink in. So he's just like, just now realizing how weird that would be for him to be there.
Yeah, and I mean, Dr. Scott should probably be like a little more surprised. Like, I know that he's been studying these aliens, but as far as I can tell, it is just a pure coincidence that Brad and Janet ended up at the castle. So it should have been a little bit surprising to see Brad there of all people, you know what I mean? Anyway.
If I showed up in the middle of the night to do a little bit of snooping on people that I thought were aliens, I would be very confused if I got in there and saw that you were there and, like, in pajamas, just hanging out with one of them. My response wouldn't be, Kelly, what are you doing here? I'd go, Kelly, what the fuck?
Yeah, exactly. And, like, knowing what he knows about them, he should maybe be, like, a little concerned for Brad.
I mean, I would be concerned if you were there. Well,
on the other hand,
would I be concerned if you personally were there? If somebody who wasn't you was there that I knew, I would be very, very concerned.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you're cunt. But I love reading Dr. Scott and Brad's relationship as Brad is obsessed with Dr. Scott. Dr. Scott is his Maury from Tuesdays with Maury. He just idolizes him, and Scott finds him slightly off-putting and is merely polite to him.
Oh, that makes sense.
I mean, you see it in this minute. Look at how Brad is shaking his hand compared to how Scott is reacting to the situation.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was all I had non-jacket wise?
Oh yeah, we've got an entire jacket to continue talking about.
Yeah.
I love this.
I hope you guys are strapped in, because we got a whole right side of the jacket to talk about, but I'm going to try and make it quick.
Don't make it quick. Make it very slow.
Okay.
Just a little faster.
Okay. Are we ready to dive into the right side of Frank's jacket?
Like it was a muff.
Okay. Well, joke's on you. I'm actually going to start with the left side of Frank's jacket because...
What?
I know. I screwed up some of my notes. So, what I'm going to do now is talk about the ones that I should have talked about on the right, or on the left side, that I thought were on the right side because I messed up my notes.
Gotcha.
So the first one that is on the left side that I didn't talk about already, it's a star pin that says Wimbledon Speedway 1972. So that is, as it might sound like, it is a racetrack, basically. Until 2005, there was a motorcycle speedway there. It seems to just kind of be just generally a stadium with a lot of sporting events. It was mostly a greyhound racing track until, I guess, that stopped happening. One thing that I thought was really cool was it's really fairly easy to get. I don't know if they're, because a lot of these events I haven't been able to find any information on at all, and I'm just like, I assume there was a race called this on this year. There's a decent amount of information on the Wimbledon Speedway. I found a whole PDF, I could tell you everyone who raced in it and their places, like all of that information is available. And I did not see Frankenfurter on there, so continuity error.
Sue is to marry.
But also, you can get either posters or I guess probably reproductions of the poster from it, and it is sick. So maybe sometime I'll get the Wimbledon Speedway program to hang up. It looks really cool.
Maybe that's our tattoo.
Ooh. But probably not. But maybe.
But maybe.
But maybe.
But probably not.
But probably not. We're delirious listeners. I'm sorry.
Deliriously funny.
Yes. Delirium always leads to humor. But right, so there's one that just says Sunbeam. Sunbeam Cycles was a British band of motorcycles up until 1956. And fun fact, a hallmark of all Marston Sunbeams was the superb quality and finish in black and gold leaf pinstriping. So I thought that was fun, especially since the pin itself is black with gold.
It's very lovely, too.
Yes, it is a cool one. The next one I thought was interesting. It is the Petty Officer Second Class insignia, I believe specifically from the U.S. Navy. Now, I do not believe it's likely that Frankenfurter has served in the U.S. Navy and even achieved the rank of Petty Officer Second Class. So I choose to believe he fucks a lot of sailors, and this was a trophy from that.
I think that the only true statement about this is that Frankenfurter is petty.
Yeah, he's not an officer, he's not second class, absolutely. But yeah, so that looks like it's really cool. It's like a collar cap. So it's got a gold eagle and a V shape below it. That's what the collar insignias are like for the Navy. So that's a neat one. And then there is a fun one that says Earl's Court 1966, and it has the 59 Club logo in the middle, so it's a 59 Club race. But it says Alley Pally at the end. And Alley Pally is a place called Alexandra Palace, and it's just a big sportsplex as far as I can tell. It's existed since 1873, and it's just a public recreation center, and at one point held motorcycle races, such as the Earl's Court Alley Pally race, hosted by the 59 Club. So there you go.
That's nice.
There's a few that I deliberately saved for this day because I had fewer due to the fact that there are multiples. So this is one that is on both sides. On each collar tip, there is just like a checked flag. And then there's one above the left chain stud and one on the upper right breast. Just a checked flag. And then we're finally on to the right side pins. So there's one that says Panther, has a Panther logo. That was a motorcycle brand produced between 1904 and 1968. There's another Norton pin, and we talked about Norton already, but this one looks different and it's cool, so I just wanted to talk about it. It's the Norton logo in green at the bottom, and then it's got a motorcycle on top. Gold motorcycle, Red Rider. It looks awesome. Now,
yeah, I'm looking at it now, and it's like one of the coolest ones, I'd say.
it's definitely the coolest of the Norton pins, because the other ones just say Norton. And there's a lot of them, but I just wanted to highlight that one because it was unique.
And this one's very Christmassy.
Yeah. There's a red pin with the BSA logo. We kind of touched on BSA before with the patches because there was the Tri-BSA, which was the combination of Triumph and BSA. But this is just BSA, and it says that it is just a motorcycle company again from Britain. Stands for Birmingham Small Arms Company Limited. So they were in production from 1919 to 1972. It's mostly a firearm company as far as I can tell. Next, BMW pin. That is really, really recognizable, obviously. I don't need to tell you guys about BMW. Of course, they still produce motorcycles, but I thought it was an interesting bit of history. This is, of course, a German company that was founded in 1916. But what I thought was interesting was they started out making aircraft engines and continued to do that, but they pivoted to motorcycle engines after World War I ended. So originally they started making motorcycles basically as a way to continue having a source of income when there was less of a demand for plane engines. So, there's one of my favorites, very goofy. It is a silly little cartoon gentleman with a skein of beer and a big red nose, and it says, "I'm only here for the beer."
Yeah, this one's my favorite for sure.
As far as I know, not anything beyond a declaration for love of beer. Very cute.
He's cute. He's a nice little bald man.
Yeah, it's a really cute little pin. And I love the juxtaposition with like all of the different things on this. We got everything from Boy Scouts to cartoon drunks to Nazis. I mean, I don't love the Nazi part, but I'm just saying, like, there's such serious ones and like serious motorcycle racing, and then we got goofy shit like that. Now, there's a pin that appears a lot on both sides. I saved it for this side. It's Dresda Racing because they have like one of the coolest logos of any racing company or motorcycle company. It's some type of mythical beast. I don't know if it's like a centaur, I think, but it also seems to have some kind of fishtail. It's awesome. And that is a company that still exists. It was founded in 1961, and they make bespoke road and race motorcycles. This is basically, they don't manufacture them. They build like custom bespoke frames for any engine. So the Triton that we talked about before, that is a Dresda product. Beloved racing motorcycles.
Oh, and I just learned something cool.
Was it
Or I
that
guess I didn't learn it.
Dresda made bespoke racing motorcycles?
Well, no, I was looking up what this thing is because uh, it certainly does look like a centaur with a fish's tail. So it's just like it's like the man bear pig of motorcycles. But I guess that they're referring to like this is actually Triton.
Oh.
In mythology, Triton was the ancient Greek messenger of the seas and the son of Poseidon and Amphitrite. I'm just on Flickr. Who
That
knows?
makes sense. I should have put that together with Triton and Dresda. But yeah, very cool logo and interesting backstory there. There's a bunch more 59 Club stuff on this side. There's some pins, and we didn't talk about pins already. There's like a regular 59 Club pin. There's a yellow one that says Motorcycle 1971 shows. We already talked about the one up above that was the Wimbledon pin. But what I wanted to say, since we already talked about the 59 Club's origins, I saw on Minna's website, Columbia's Closet, she basically just put out a message from the 59 Club, which is that patches and pins are only supposed to be worn by 59 Club members. You don't have to own a motorcycle to become a member, and membership is for life. They ask that the community please get their patches from the club only and help keep one of the club's main sources of income flowing. They're not that bad. It's only 18 pounds for membership, at least at the time of writing this article. And the patch, which you would want the 8 centimeter patch, and that is just about 5 pounds. And the pins are 5 pounds 50. So it's really not that much money. It's a nice way to support the 59 Club, and I just thought I would throw that out there. Why buy a replica?
I think you and I should join the 59 Club.
I think we should join the 69 Club. Oh, that ship has sailed, listeners. But yeah, I mean, I think we should. It's nice. I think it's nice that they reached out to the community and like are aware that the Rocky community has an interest in these and just reached out and was like, hey, could you be members and then buy the pins from us so that we can keep doing what we do? So I add my voice to that message.
Yeah, reading that, hearing that, I think that that's a very reasonable ask of a fan.
Yeah, and of course the ones for specific races, I assume, of course, you would have to buy replicas, or if you succeed in finding an original, you would have to do that. I assume they don't just continue production of the 1971 races pins, but yeah, like the actual 59 Club patches and pins, buy them from the 59 Club. Why not? And then you get to be part of the 59 Club, which is kind of a fun flex. And you can say you have a real one.
Yeah.
You have to get the patches dirty yourself, though. But that shouldn't be a problem for you, dear listeners.
Would that make us, if we were part of the 59 Club, would we be like honorary dykes on bikes?
No, dykes sans bikes.
Well, I'm already one of those.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, you're already all of that.
Aw.
Well, what? Did you have a bike?
No, I can't ride.
Yeah. Oh, you can ride, but... Alright. Oh, God.
If she dies, she dies.
So true. Next up is arguably the most interesting of all the pins on the jacket, because it is a mystery. Nobody knows what the fuck this is or where it is. No original has been found. People make replicas. It's a coat of arms. Basically, there's like a blue chevron with red outline, and there's some English rose charges on it. It reads Adoremus Dominum at the bottom, which means let us adore God. Minna has a great article detailing all kinds of like coat of arms, like symbolism in it, but nothing really. Nobody knows where this came from. It's not the Curry family crest. It is not the Royal Navy chaplain crest. There's a bunch of things that it is not and that it kind of looks like, but nobody has been able to find out what it is. So that one is truly fascinating. If you have any information that could lead to the identification of this pin, you could be maybe not a wealthy person, because if you find the Rat Bike of the Month magazine, you'll be wealthy, but you will be much beloved if you can solve this mystery. So,
yeah, perhaps wealthy and friends.
Yeah, or at least accolades. But you know what? I will personally purchase your membership to the 59 Club if you can solve this mystery. So there you go.
And if you're Gary Busey, wow.
I mean, honestly, finding the history behind this pin might just make you famous enough that I'm willing to sleep with you just for bragging rights. So, there you go.
Man, that's a low bar.
It is. I mean, yeah.
Hey, I'm famous for getting 2 bagels when I ordered 1.
I'm like running around telling people they're famous and being like, I have to sleep with you. I don't make the rules. But yeah. So that one's really fascinating. Royal Enfield, we already talked about, but that was a patch. This one's a pin. It's an orange pin with the Royal Enfield logo. Oval shape. Couple more BMF pins, but they're different from the ones we saw before, so I'll quickly go over them. There is a blue one with the yellow motorcycle silhouette logo, and that says 1969 Brighton Show. Could not find any information about this particular show, but I assume it's another one of their annual shows. And then there's a black one with a red silhouette logo, and that just says BMF. Next, there's a green one that says Silverstone, and that shows the outline of what I was sure was a racing course, because it's a strange, just kind of random geometric shape with a trophy cup in the middle of it. And Silverstone's circuit is a motor racing circuit. It took me a while, actually, to find the map that matched this, because the current Silverstone circuit is pretty different and does not look like this really at all. But I eventually found it. I found a map from the 1952 to 1974 circuit, and it perfectly matches. If you turn it on its end, it like perfectly matches what's on the pin. So there you go. Definitely the Silverstone circuit in England, near the Northamptonshire villages of Towcester, Silverstone, and Whittlebury. And it hosted the British Grand Prix for many years.
Nice.
Yeah. And next is another racing circuit pin with the circuit on it. This is the Isle of Man. Really cool island. If you have ever known a Manx cat with one of the cats that naturally have no tail, well, they're from the Isle of Man originally. And so it shows the circuit, which is still pretty similar to their mountain course. It hasn't changed a lot over the years. And also the Isle of Man's flag, which has like 3 feet in like they're like arranged. It's like 3 legs with feet that are arranged in a like kicking each other wheel type of shape.
This is probably Oscar's favorite thing. Just multiple feet.
Yeah, exactly. That's something you and Oscar have bonded over.
No.
Yes. But so anyway, yeah, the Isle of Man TT mountain course is it's a motorcycle course that it still is in operation with very few changes. So there you go. Next one, another racing circuit pin. It's the Nürburgring. But seriously, it's Nürburgring Racing Circuit. Shows the trophy and it shows the race course, which is still pretty much the exact same race course. I found it. And yeah, it is a 150,000 person capacity motorsports complex in Nürburgring, Germany. So it has a Grand Prix for motorcycles. Apparently, Jackie Stewart nicknamed the track the Green Hell because I guess it's difficult. So there you go.
And green.
Yeah, probably green, I'm guessing, from the mountains.
Frank really did just do all of these races.
I know, yeah. He was fast. What can we say? But yeah.
Fast and loose.
Yeah. Master of Mallory is a yellow pin that says that, and it has another, like, laurels implying that, that it's to do with a race. And indeed, Mallory Park Motor Racing Circuit in the village of Kirkby Mallory, between Leicester and Hinckley in central England. And yeah, it is just basically a race. Master of Mallory is a specific race as far as I can tell. So it's not like he didn't like earn the title of Master of Mallory, like the race is named Master of Mallory. Okay. Then we have a Tri-BSA pin. We already talked about the patch, but now we have it in pin form. He's back in pin form. And that's a dark blue pin with the Tri-BSA logo. Now, another one this is another one of my favorites. I'm really, really into it. It is a black pin with a white skull, and at the bottom it just says, "Think!" exclamation point. I tried, as you can imagine, this is hard to Google or look up, but as far as I can tell, this isn't like the logo to anything or referencing anything. I guess it's just kind of like a memento mori type of situation. So yeah, apart from that, there's a lot of ones that are essentially the same as ones we talked about on the left, or sometimes the exact same. There are Triumph, Outdoor Holiday Show 1971 Colex, 6.5 Rock and Roll Club Special, there's more England Rose, more Matchless, CZ, Java, 1971 BMF Olympia. So basically, like I said, Minna has a whole list on her blog of where each pin goes, and she has them all listed out, where you can find them, or how easily you can find originals, and how many of each one you need. It's a great resource. Once again, Columbia's Closet. But now that we've talked about the pins that are on the jacket, we have to talk about the pins that aren't on the jacket. And I am specifically referring to the pin featuring Andy Warhol's Chairman Mao portrait. It is a huge yellow square pin that is on the right side of the jacket, like right in the middle of this. So it's a cool badge. It's not in the movie, which is why I said it's not on the jacket, but it is present in the Mick Rock photos, and that's the photo reference that most of us have for a lot of these jacket pins. So like when you look at reference photos, a lot of times people just have blacked out a big square in the middle because there's this pin that isn't there. Nobody knows, of course, why it was removed. Minna posits that perhaps as a large flat object, it reflected the set lighting. I think that's an extremely good guess. Makes more sense than anything I can think of. She says, and I would agree, it's probably not due to, political controversy because they have Nazi stuff. So I doubt that Chairman Mao... It does, again, it's an interesting thing to combine those two things on one jacket. But yeah, I just think that's cool, interesting badge. Let us know why you think they took it off for the film. But yeah, I think it makes a lot of sense because the rest of the badges are like not the kind that would reflect light well, but this is like a shinier one. So I can see how it would become a problem for filming.
For sure. I think that that is absolutely the reason.
Yeah. And finally, we have patches. So we have a circular BMW patch. We already talked about BMW, of course. It has gold metallic thread. That's pretty fun. There's another Dirty 59 Club patch. Buy that from the 59 Club. And another Royal Enfield patch. Another one showing what is most likely the UK Hells Angels logo. And then there's just a skull and crossbones. This, according to Brandon Sutrina on Columbia's Closet, is the 17th or 21st Lancer's Death or Glory patch, which was a cavalry regiment of the British Army. Yet another trophy from Frank's military conquests, perhaps. Death or Glory was their motto. And it says, typically this image would have a scarf that says or glory on it, but these popular patches did not include that. And some versions of it are round, but Frank's is square. It's pretty cool. I think it's an interesting piece of history, and it's a really fun skull and crossbones. It looks really like rough. It doesn't look very realistic, and it looks goofy, and the bones are really tiny. I like how it looks like somebody just doodled it on a napkin at a bar and that made that their logo. So I love it.
Yeah, it's very fun.
And finally, there is another mystery. We do not know what this is. It is a blob shape, but it is, most people believe, Nazi Luftwaffe. It's kind of shaped like that. Brandon notes another original of what most believe this is to be hasn't been found. And the shape of what that is doesn't quite match the image, so no one's able to really confirm what the patch is. It looks like a whole lot of nothing if you look at photos of it. So if I were to make a Frank jacket with relatively screen-accurate patches and pins, I am declaring that I will use Kirk Van Houten's Portrait of Dignity from The Simpsons, because that is what it makes me think of when I see this blob.
Yeah. Oh, I can see that.
Do you want me to show this patch to the cat, Luann? Because the cat will get it. But that's it. See? That didn't take that long.
Yeah, and I think that we'll wrap it up by talking about the stuff on the back in the next episode.
Exactly.
The next minute.
And no, wait. Don't delete us from your RSS feeds or however you listen to us. God, that showed my age by even saying RSS feed. But there's no badges on the back, so it'll be a fairly quick thing to go over. There's just some patches, and it's a lot of fun. So join us, won't you?
So let's talk about callbacks.
Oh, let's. First of all, I think we need to address the fact that there is a very, very popular callback that involves a slur for this minute that I'm not going to repeat due to our policy. But you can say, is that the triple contact electromagnet with optional leg lift? And, or, somebody, you could say, is that the triple contact electromagnet or something? And then someone else can say, like, did they spring for the optional leg lift? And then, Frank lifts his leg, something like that.
Yeah, I think that you still get the joke.
For sure.
Or at least a joke there.
For sure. And I do think that the slur version of that was originated by people reclaiming the slur, and there are some funny responses to it that are along those lines, but, time marches on. We're not going to go into it on this podcast.
Yeah.
If you yourself are what Trixie Mattel would call a gay F word, and you want to use that word, that is your right.
Yes.
Now, when Scott goes around in circles around Magenta and Columbia. It is Ring Around the Lesbians. And then when he's going around that landing, so he's going around the rectangle and he obviously turns left 3 times in a row, you will hear wheelchair goes left, wheelchair goes left, wheelchair goes left, wheelchair NASCAR. So, why not say it? You're not doing anything else at that minute. When he bursts through the wall, one of my favorites, oh yeah, because it is a true Kool-Aid Man moment. And then, this isn't really a callback, but when Brad yells, "Great Scott," this is when you would throw your toilet paper if you have a prop bag with toilet paper in it. So don't forget to do that. When Scott is getting pulled down and we hear that what's the last sound Amelia Earhart heard is what I've been hearing lately. You can replace that with other celebrities that died in plane crashes, but that hasn't happened in a while, thankfully, so I think most of those have fallen into obscurity for the most part.
Yeah, the last one that I heard at a Rocky showing that was current was Aaliyah, and I think that was in fairly bad taste. It's maybe not as funny to do that with current dead celebrities. I don't know.
Yeah, you have a problem making jokes about recently dead celebrities through callbacks?
No, no, I don't know. This one just feels different.
I've noticed that if I make a callback that references, like, nobody cares when you do the coffin. Like, ladies and gentlemen, like, when Aaron Carter died, ladies and gentlemen, Aaron Carter, and they show the skull, like, people will go, aw, but they're not mad. When Frank was floating in the pool dead and I said, look, it's Aaron Carter, people were mad. And they were mad again when I repeated it for Matthew Perry. I'm not going to stop because I don't understand why one of those things is worse than the other, but I guess enlighten me if you can explain why I'm allowed to joke about them being dead, but not in the specific manner they died. I mean, it would be one thing, obviously, if they, like, I don't know, if it was some kind of horrible death, but not that it's, if it was some kind of, like,
tell me more, Kelly.
No, I'm getting canceled again.
Talking.
You know what I'm saying? Like, okay, like, if somebody got, like, brutally murdered via ice pick, I would not probably go to Rocky the next week and make a joke about them during that scene.
You know damn well that you would.
No, I wouldn't. Because that's, like, that is just too, like, I don't know. Somebody getting murdered is different to me than dying via an accident, I guess, in ways that I can't fully understand. But I truly view the callbacks about dead celebrities often to be kind of a affectionate thing. Except, our most recent one was Henry Kissinger, and we got a huge cheer because he's burning in hell. So, but I don't know. I don't know what point I'm trying to make. I think it's strange to draw the line there, but people can draw the line wherever they want.
It's a squiggly line.
Personally, yeah. I guess just, like, ask yourself, like, in what spirit you're doing it. Is it mean-spirited? And if it is mean-spirited and the person doesn't deserve it, like Henry Kissinger does deserve it, then don't do it, I guess. Probably. And, like, if Aaron Carter's parents are there... Actually, his parents, from what I remember, are, like, terrible. So, I don't know. Moving on.
All gold.
All gold, as usual. When Dr. Scott says, Frankenfurter, we meet at last, you should say...
No, we meet at first.
Classic comedy. I like that one. Maybe you can explain to me, Leandra, what the next ones that I'm about to say, you have to choose one. Both always get a huge laugh, and I like them and I say them because they're pleasing, but I don't understand like why they always get a huge laugh from the audience. When Brad says, "Dr. Scott," and extends his hand, I usually say, "Suck my cock." You can also say, "Put your dick in my hand." Both are fun, I like them, but I am always surprised by how much the audience likes those. Am I missing something?
No, I think cocks are funny.
I mean, cocks, yeah. They're funny. And then the last one I have, when he says, "Brad, what are you doing here?" Oh, just fucking around.
It's a nice one.
Yeah, it's a classic. But that's all I got.
Well, cool. I only have a little bit more to contribute to that. After you see Dr. Scott on the wire, you can go, "Didn't see that wire," and then when you see the exact same him zooming up the exact same steps, you go, "Didn't see that wire either."
That's funny.
And when they're in when Dr. Scott's in Columbia's room, the second part to the fucking tourists callback is they don't buy anything, and I think that that's supposed to be emphasis on buy.
Oh, that's funny. I didn't even say the fucking tourist one.
Oh, I totally thought you did.
No.
Oh, you said "Ring Around the Lesbians."
Yes.
Oh, okay. So there's Great Scott is what Brad says. You can say, "That's not Great Scott, that's mediocre Scott. Great Scott would know how to walk."
That's so stupid.
Yeah, it's incredibly ableist, but I would like to think that as somebody who often uses comedy as a way to deflect from my own physical limitations as it comes to mobility, I do appreciate the humor of it.
You heard it here first. Leandra's giving us a pass.
I am not. I am just expressing why I feel that it is okay for me to personally
give us all
that.
The pass.
Yes, that is exactly what I said.
Awesome.
Thank you for clarifying that for me.
Yes.
When Dr. Scat is a completely different thing. When Dr. Scott says, "Brad, what are you doing here?" You said "just fucking around." I like getting really good head or giving really good head. Either of those is a good callback for that.
I don't get it.
He's just had sex with Frank, and one of the last things that we see is Frank sucking him dry.
I thought there was like
a pee-hole.
Joke or pun to this somehow.
No.
Got it.
No, just the receiving of oral sex. I think that it's
which is no laughing matter. But yes.
It is. I guess if you're sucking off a clown.
But doctor, I am Pagliacci.
We're stupid.
We are stupid. We have to go to bed, listeners.
All right. Now you don't have to go home,
but you can't stay here, so get the
fuck out.
To the late night double feature picture show.
And as a nod to that, are you?
It was just as a nod to that. It was literally Revenge of the Valley of the Dolls.
Very cool. Love this for me. I'm keeping all of this in so everybody knows that you're a cunt.
No, I'm not making fun of you. It just reminds me of the meme of like, I'm like literally. I'm sorry.
Yeah, very cool. Keeping this in.
Okay.
Guess who's editing
Okay.
this?
It's worth it to not have to edit it.
No, I will be cutting this out because I want the audience to still think that you're a nice person, Kelly.
They don't, so no need to edit it out.
Okay, then I shan't.
Okay.
Hey, Kelly.
Yes, Leandra.
I've got something to say.
I bet it'll sound better with stock Christmas music, so hit it!
We at Rocky Horror Minute want to thank you all for your continued support when we needed to take a long break.
That's right. Leandra needed that time off to become a tri-state yodeling champion, a thing nobody wanted her to do.
And during that time, Kelly's boobs grew 3 sizes, just like the Grinch's heart.
Aw, you noticed!
We wanted to get back into recording so very much, but it was our dearest listeners who contacted us who finally brought us back.
As a way of showing our thanks to you, we are sending out Christmas cards. Just send your address to us on our social media.
Or via email at rockyhorrorminute@gmail.com.
Again, thank you so much for your kind words and encouragement over the years. Knowing that people are listening to us makes all the difference. Merry Christmas, baby!